downstairs?
Okay,
I have
ladies
a
and
box of
gentlemen,
books for
welcome
you.
any and all visitors and welcome any public
I'll bring
comment
them in.
that anyone may have that's unrelated to our agenda items. No comment? Okay, all right, so possible changes to the agenda.
The only change to the agenda will be under other business to have you decide what you would like to do with your March 4th meeting, which is on the same day as
It's town meeting day.
town meeting, and you will have to count votes at 7 o'clock, and so you may not need the meeting.
All right, March 4th, we cannot reorganize that evening because we'll be tied up with voting. All right, so we're going to make a motion. So what do we change it to?
Well, we'll get under other business if you don't mind.
Okay. All right, so with that, we'll move on to the minutes. The minutes of January 21.
And you cannot vote on
I
it.
was not here.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of January 21.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4 votes.
Next is the police department vehicle. Select board to possibly approve the purchase of a 2025 Chevrolet Tahoe from McGovern MHQ Incorporated in the amount of $69,813.38. Chief Morano's here with Officer Karsich.
Good evening. We're here to seek approval on a bid for a new cruiser. This will be replacing in its normal service cycle a 2016 Ford Explorer. We're looking to make that purchase in the next 3 months. The upfit will probably take 3 to 6 months. And I have Officer Joe Karsich with me tonight, who can talk about the bid and quote, because he did the work on putting this one together. So he'll take all your questions.
I see we finally have moved away from Ford and Dodge, I guess. Is that what I'm getting?
We have no brand loyalty. We look for the best vehicle at the best price that will accomplish what we're seeking to do with it. So, but if we have issues with one brand, we usually wait till they're out. They modify, repair those issues, change out the model, then we'll go back. We also don't like to buy into the first year model of anything. So those are a couple of things we avoid, but as far no real brand loyalty. Look for what?
So the Explorer's a 2016?
Mine is. Yeah, that's the one that's leaving.
Really? Yeah.
9 years old.
Yeah, that's a long haul.
Yep. It's been worked.
I try and take good care of it.
He does. Yeah. But it's ready to go.
Right. Now, with the price here, does this include the trade-in?
No, it does not. We will sell, we seem to do better selling our vehicles through an online auction program instead of the trade-in. So the vehicle will be stripped of the emergency equipment and then sold at auction. So that is not reflected in this cost.
We have a rough idea what you might get.
What is the,
In the past, we've gotten anywhere from 4 to, I believe, 8,000, depending on the how everything else is underneath that we don't normally see.
Sure. Okay.
I have a question about remove graphics from old patrol unit. Is that just to clean up the car to sell, or do you reuse those graphics?
No, they're one-time use, so they come off, go in the trash, unfortunately.
Those are vinyl, I believe, right?
Yeah.
This is to be in this.
Yeah, we got our money's worth out of the graphics too, though, on it. So, I mean, 9 years in the salt and still hanging on the side of the car. It's a good run.
That's what I'm saying. That was a long haul. No rust, no holes in the door.
There is a little bit,
I was
but
gonna
nothing
say,
major.
It's gotta be.
Hey, Chief, I have a question. Does this include, I know the fire department and wastewater is moving to a new radio system. Does this quote include the radio system for you guys?
No, we will carry over the radios in our existing car. But most of the equipment, the lights and sirens, the safety equipment in the current cruiser that's retiring is actually from a 2010 originally upfit, and we carried it over 1 year. But those lights give up and they fog out, you lose some LEDs, so it's time for those to go. But the radios will carry over.
LEDs usually have about a lifespan of about 100,000 hours. And we're coming to that end of the LED's lifespan. That's the extra cost that you usually pay for those LEDs to function.
Can you talk about the process you used to come to this, this unit?
Yeah, so I looked at all our different manufacturers. I looked into Ford, Dodge, Chevy. And overall, Chevy just tried and true. They've made the Tahoes for about 15 to 20 years on the same frame, the same drivetrain. And they've had the least amount of problems versus all the others that have been changing or rearranging things on their vehicles, including Dodge and Ford, especially with the new EVs coming out. And we were trying to stay away from EV or hybrid. So Chevy's still just, as far as manufacturing, they're still coming out on top with having the most room on a truck frame and the best, the lowest costs overall to fix, repair, anything like that.
And how's the price compared to state bid price?
State bid price is actually through McGovern, we're $200 for the vehicle alone. We're $200 under state of Vermont bid price, and that's not including the upfit, which is a whole separate category.
But the upfit is included in the price, is that correct?
In this, it would be. If we were to go with state bid, then we would have to subcontract out the upfitting cost, which actually runs about $1,000 more for this vehicle make and model and year. So we're actually saving about $1,200 overall going with a one-stop shop.
You guys are keeping the radios, correct?
We are.
Okay, so on page 3, you've got a number of customer supplied items, radio, mobile data terminals, radar, gun rack, that they're charging you for?
This is the install for those.
Just the
items.
install.
Yeah, so one of our radios, each cruiser has 2 radios, a UHF and VHF. Just a single radio now is about $4,000. Yeah, this is just the install. This is snaking all the wires through the whole body of the car, powering it. They all have to be properly installed because otherwise they will interfere with each other, the radios and antennas. So it is quite a process. There are miles of cables and wires running these cars for the upfit. But that's where those costs are to install. Actually, it's the removal and the install because they're actually going to take it out of our old car for us too.
And they can't just rip out the wires naturally. They have to do it, strategically.
Okay. All right.
Anything that has to get replaced, so because of time, because of salt, rubbing, whatever, they'll replace that. That's included in this.
Okay. Cool.
This is going to come out of the capital. Correct.
This will be we've moved our cruiser purchase over to the capital fund.
Anybody else have any questions?
Come on up.
Bart, you better come up.
Sit that long.
Go ahead.
Does that come with the solid rear seats like the Dover Tahoe has?
Yeah, it'll come with like a prison.
Solid plastic.
Yeah, it's sort of like a prisoner transport setup, cage, they call it, the partition in it. Yep. And
So it has the cage, but what about the seats themselves that are like a hard, just solid? So they're
That's
easy to
that's
clean?
actually an extra outfit. They come with the vinyl, which is still a hard plastic like we currently have, but that's standard across the cruisers. The solid hard plastic would be an extra $1,000, $2,000 outfit, which we don't see a need for that because the vinyl cleans just as well as the hard plastic.
Planning on testing that out, Barbara?
Opposed to it, but it's very easy to see.
Those are very uncomfortable, like.
Yes.
That's why you don't want to sit in the back.
So what do you need from us next?
Motion, please.
Make a motion, we approve the purchase from McGovern Municipal HQ for the vehicle as described, 2025 Chevy Tahoe, four-wheel drive, PPV, with all the accoutrements.
Second.
Motion second. To approve the purchase of a 2025 Chevy Tahoe from McGovern, McGovern Inc. in the amount of $69,813.38. Love the 38 cents again. But anyway, all those in favor say aye.
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 And Charlie says aye. Yes,
Aye.
There we go.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the Veterans Memorial Park. The select board to possibly authorize the town manager and finance officer to apply for the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant for the Veterans Memorial Park. And Christine is here to talk you through that.
So we have been working for almost a year now trying to raise funds for the Veterans Memorial Park. And we're at $112,000 in hand with another $22,000 promised. The LWCF, or Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, was something that Gretchen had found, where they will pay half of our project and then we have to come up with the other half of the funds. Our project right now, we're estimating, is probably close to 300,000 with all the increases in costs everywhere. So the application for the grant is due March, I think 13th. And we're just looking to make sure that that is okay with the select board to apply for this grant, because it is over the 50,000. I think it's 50,000 that the grant application has to go to the board. So checking on that, we did apply for another grant that we did not get, that was a much smaller grant, but which actually led us to another possible grant that I just found out about, that is the Downtown Transportation Fund grant. And that's up to 100, I think up to 200,000 actually. So they're very similar applications. Unfortunately, with the downtown one, it's due like February 17th. So I'm not sure if we will get everything together for that one or not, but hoping between one of the two of them, maybe we can get the funding to get this moving forward and finally break ground. So.
I don't think there's any debate. I think we want to keep this. Next, do you need a motion?
No, if we have general consent, I think that's sufficient.
I'm all.
Yep.
Yes.
Just need your blessing.
Blessed.
Okay, John, Charlie, okay. We got everybody on board.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And now on to the budget. Yes, yes. I just gotta find my other pile of papers here. So one of the things that the auditors had mentioned when they came not quite a year ago, was regular reporting, which we've always kind of done reporting with the select board. Usually we start with the budget season. We meet a couple times, we talk about it, and it's there. And then usually we kind of do a quarterly report to the select board for the second half of the year. Scott and I were talking about it and thought that it might be beneficial to kind of do like a review of where the budget was as of December, so the first half of this fiscal year. And then going forward, what we will try to do is, or what we will be doing is, each month we will send you the normal budget status reports that I always give you guys anyway for each of the departments, sewer, water, highway, and general fund. I wouldn't necessarily come to the meeting and explain everything to you each month. But if you looked at it and you had questions, then we could go over them. And then we might still maybe do like a quarterly report, but so that's kind of our thought process. So through December, the way that the budget status reports go, and I don't know if I've ever really explained the reports. I think I've always just come and talked because we've done budget meetings usually right before that. So the reports have always the revenues that have come in first and what was budgeted, and there's an actual budget balance and an actual percent on the reports, which is kind of handy to use. And when looking at those, like we're looking at, like I said, the December report here. So any item where you see that it's either 50% or less, that means that we are, we're within our budget at that point. If it's over 50%, then it's gotten more than we would expect for the half year. There are certain items though that you will notice if you once you start going through it more, that always are spent first of the year. Like everything's just done sometimes in the first month. Some of those items are dispatch fees, which is on page 7 of 12 of the general fund. County court is another one that's on page 11 of 12 of the general fund. Highway resurfacing is another example that's on page 2 of 3 of the highway. So there's a few items that when you look at them, just because it's over 50% doesn't mean that we're way out of budget. It just means that sometimes those are items that are expended within those first couple of months always. The bill is a once a year and done. I don't know if that's helped or confused, but so
So for instance, an easy one is you'll see salaries they should be around 50% because
Right.
it's half the year so far.
right, that would be one where it should always be at around the 50% for the December reporting. So sewer and water, I just was going to go over those real quick like I normally do for the quarterly reporting. The sewer revenues it shows up as a total of only like 32% received, but we are doing those on 3 billings a year now. So that is actually about where we would want to be at this point in time, because they will still have another 2 billings before the end of this season, before the end of this year. Overall, sewer is on target. If you look at the bottom of their report, they're at 44% of their total expenditures. So they are within budget. When you look at the water, their overall budget on the last page, it says it's at 64%. This is actually mainly due to the FEMA expenditures that we've had this year for fixing the access road. And if you look at the revenues actually has an offsetting FEMA reimbursement as well. So there was unbudgeted money that came in and unbudgeted money that went out. So even though they look like they're over budget, they're really not because of that unplanned expense. Hopefully we won't have any more of those for a while. For town highway, one of the things, I don't know if I've ever explained before, but the appropriations that are voted by the public at town meeting, the capital funds, I always move all of the funding after the first August installment, or the first installment this year was in September. And the town appropriation for like the whole of the highway, though, there's just not enough funding there to do the full balance of the 1.6 million. So I always do half after the first installment and then half after the second installment. Highway, I know we've talked with Marshall a little bit about some of his, because some of the numbers are a little higher this year than what we would want them to be at this time, but we're hoping that winter will start to be nicer to us. And hopefully we can make some adjustments through the next 6 months so that we can stay on target when we finish up the year. But
We've actually done very well the past few years. Every once in a while, we are gonna run into a real winter.
yeah, and you just, I mean, this is the first year where, in quite a few years where there's no snow in the forecast and you wake up and there's an inch of snow.
Right.
I mean, years ago, I can remember that happening frequently, but the last several years, I don't remember it as much. But that, of course, requires a lot of overtime, a lot of salt, a lot of sand.
And then the frequency of mud seasons. I mean, we usually have more than one now, and that will eat up a certain amount of gravel. And then of course, the heavier rains, that gives you more storm runoff, and so that also leads to additional gravel that erodes.
Yeah, and then the general fund, again, if you look at the very last page of the general fund's at 59%, which is pretty much right where we want to be for the first 6 months of the year. Again, like I said, when you take into account, there's some items that are completely paid in the first half, some aren't paid until the second half, and some are done equally throughout. The biggest thing is until we get through February collections and know how much actual tax dollars we get, you really don't know where you're going to end at the final end of the year, just because there's so many things that can change between now and the end of June.
Right.
So, but at this point, I would say we are doing okay, and we'll just kind of keep an eye on some of the things that are there and to make adjustments as best we can to make sure that we stay where we want to be.
Thanks.
You are welcome. Any questions? All right,
Thank you, Christine.
thank you.
I'm gonna move to the cameras control board.
Second.
Wait a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's John, yes, and I, and Charlie, yes, and I.
Do we have Daniel? Come on down. So this is Mr. Daniel Zern, if I have it correctly. He is the principal and controlling entity for Nighttime Land Productions LLC. And this is a renewal. The renewal number is S0000109886. And as you may remember, we are not allowed to use addresses. But anyhow, you can ask Mr. Zern anything you'd like.
I don't know how the hell that works, but that's okay.
The addresses?
Yeah, no, it's okay. Don't go. Bring it up. Okay. How are things going, Gabe?
Slowly but surely.
Okay.
It's the CCB, has a lot of things changing and moving, so you just kind of have to leave and.
Is the market being oversaturated?
Can you just pull that mic a little bit closer to you, please? Thank you.
I would say yes. Everybody wants to do it. Starting off real big is not a good idea. Feeling your way through everything and getting a feel for how much clientele, how much product you're going to need. I mean, it's
Yeah, we still can't hear him.
Just pull it right up close.
Yeah.
Almost an outdoor voice for these.
Yep, good.
So real quick though, just so you guys know, the mics are actually not working correctly and we're trying to get new ones. So it's not necessarily the way they're speaking. The mics will literally just stop working randomly. So just try to be patient and they'll probably kick back in.
Does he need a new battery on that one?
If the red light is lit, no.
Can we go sign language?
Ones appear to be working. This one. We're missing one. We're missing one. I don't know who's.
One that he's got no battery.
I think it's yours, Tom. Either yours or.
Oh, yeah, there's 5 altogether.
No, push the button and see if it works. It's yours, so it's not working. I just put it better.
It's not lighting up on the monitor.
It's not showing up.
I'm just gonna say the market's an ever-changing thing and it's gonna be like that for a while. People are gonna come, people are gonna go. Can you weather the storm? You know, that's the question, you know. Everyone started with high prices. Things are getting lower. So what that means is anyone that is a bigger producer is gonna have a better advantage of keeping a lower price and a more available product to the dispensaries. So, because it's all about money. So if you have a good product that you can produce a large amount of and sell cheaper, then that's who's going to win. But we're in Vermont and Vermont wants to do craft. So I'm hoping that more legislation comes in for direct sales and stuff like that for smaller growers to have more of a chance. Because if you are a grower, basically you are determined by the dispensaries, you know, how good you're going to do. Because I can't sell to the public, I can only sell to a dispensary. So that really will limit, you know, my moves until you find enough, you know, legal clientele to sell to, which.
So how does dispensary find you? I mean, how does a retail shop find you?
So I take all the time. I go visit them, talk to them, offer them samples. They're not going to reach out to you because they just have so many people that come right to them.
Right.
I mean, it is oversaturated for sure, but it's just it's like anything, you know. It's people are going to get weeded out and
Weeded out. Good one.
There you go.
Sorry.
Hey, folks, I don't have any questions.
Nope.
John, Charlie, any questions?
No.
Daniel?
Nope.
All right. So, somebody would like to make a motion to renew his license, please. Don't all jump into the fence here, folks, okay? All right, I'll make it. I want to approve the renewal of S-0000109886 Nighttime Land Productions, a cannabis operation. You have a second?
Second.
All right. Are there any problems, Chief, with no? All right, so we have a motion to second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Andrew, thank you for waiting. So I know you should sat in the back the whole time.
that's okay.
Okay, I kind of thought it was not on or something.
No. I'm interested to hear what's going on too. So no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Let's go to other business.
Under other business, would you like to cancel your meeting on March the 4th?
We have to.
And would you like another meeting, or would you like to wait for your reorganization to be your second meeting of the month?
What's your choice, fellas?
We could either do it on the 5th, which is the Wednesday, or wait till the 18th, which is our next one.
Or you could do it the 11th,
Or we could do it
following
the 11th.
Tuesday, or you could wait to the 18th. But in the meantime, you don't have an organized board. So what do you do then?
Let's
So who signs warrants?
do it on the 5th.
Well, I still have people.
Oh,
We are your
That's
people.
real nice.
I have you.
Oh, yeah. But
Would you like to move it to the 5th then?
Want to go to the 5th?
What time?
You tell me.
Is it a morning thing
We
or
do it in the morning if you'd like.
it's really?
Do you want to, I mean, that would be an opportunity to swear in.
No, I can manage that.
That would be an opportunity to swear everyone in at that meeting, but we would probably have to check with your newest potential member on whether or not the morning would work.
Charlie, what's your availability Wednesday at 8:30 a.m.
I'm available on March 5th.
on the 5th?
Yep, AM or PM, that's fine.
All right. Okay.
Do you want to tentatively set it and then we'll
Let's
check
tentatively set it for
8:30?
8:30 a.m.
March 5th.
on the 5th, just so that we don't have any gaps.
Okay, we'll pull the potential new member and see if that will work. You don't think you'd be out too late counting?
I don't think so.
They just have to shoot right through.
What?
Stay up all night, shoot right through.
Jess, you got that?
You've always been with Chad. So.
Hanging chairs.
Select board
Hanging chairs.
comments.
Tony,
Nothing.
that's it. I have nothing. John? Comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. So, there's been some discussion about the surplus that currently exists in the LLT pilot fund of $10.3 million. You are running into the problem that always happens in the legislature, which is that House Ways and Means does not like to give money to towns. And so you're just going to see that that's going to be a problem, and it's probably not going to get through. I know when we worked on the cannabis legislation that created the markets, we created a 6% tax for towns because we knew there would be a municipal impact of selling cannabis in towns. And that passed our committee. But then the bill, because it involved taxes, went to House Ways and Means. And guess what House Ways and Means did?
Yes, we know.
They took out the municipal tax. So it is highly unlikely that we will see that surplus come to Wilmington. It's very unfortunate, but it's just the folks on House Ways and Means, especially the chair, have never served on a select board, and really believe that they know better than you do about how to spend that money. It's sad. I mean, but it is. It's the way with, they're not going to give towns money. Even it's a battle to get them to increase fees that, our town clerk charges for a variety of services that she provides.
Charlie?
I've got nothing.
So Scott, I'm going to turn it back to you. Town manager.
Just to keep you appraised of the PV&R appeals, we're just waiting for the hearing officer to set date, time, and location for the two appeals that requested to go to PV&R. Held your informational meeting for the annual meeting coming up. And we did receive the additional money, I mentioned that earlier, from the MERP grant in January 2025, $313,157.70. I am currently in the midst of a division of historic preservation review. We will likely have to hire a historic consultant, and we may have to hire an architect in order to take care of Memorial Hall because of some of the requirements under the historic preservation division. And talking with Stevens Associates, Bob Stevens suggested that we may need some help doing the RFP for that particular building. The Planning Commission will be working on Article 9 Telecom and Article 6 Flood Hazard. And there's some money involved, but a while ago, the Select Board allocated a certain amount of money from the local option tax, a 1% fund, in order to complete some of this work. They're hiring somebody from the, I think it's, can't remember his name. Somebody from the WRC, though, London Regional Commission, to help with the telecom.
Matt Bachler.
Matt Bachler, that's it.
Thank you.
Wilmington Works, Samantha Kondracki sent us an overview of the Eat, Sleep, Shop Local program, which generated $76,000 in direct spending in Wilmington, focusing solely on local stores since Dover opted not to participate this year. Business owners reported a slow start in December, but overall sales based on their raffle counts were up 7% compared to the year before. They encouraged shopping, introduced 3 extended shopping evenings. They kept the chamber open until 7 p.m. for coupon redemptions while offering s'mores and hot chocolate. However, the first 2 Fridays saw lower foot traffic, and they distributed all 1,000 2 days before ESSL concluded. That's the Eat, Sleep, Shop Local. And this year, 31 businesses participated, showcasing strong local engagement. Congratulations, Sam. The Wyndham Regional Commission. This is just to notify you that the Wyndham Regional Commission will be hosting an in-person meeting and a remote Zoom meeting in February to present the draft Wyndham Regional Plan update. The regional plan provides guidance on the future for the region, and it is the basis for WRC's work program and regional planning efforts. Officials from member towns are encouraged to attend these meetings to learn about the role of the regional plan and highlights from the current update process. The plan update process has been a collaborative effort between WRC commissioners appointed by each member town and WRC staff. The meeting date for Wilmington is Thursday, February 6th at 6 p.m. at the Old School Community Center here in Wilmington. That's an in-person meeting. Thursday, February 6th at 6 p.m. You'll remember in terms of our legal section, our legal corner, we have 3 BCA potential appeals in the Wyndham Superior Court. We received a summons and complaint today, and our town attorney entered notice of appearance on behalf of the BCA and the town for the Elizabeth Lacombe Revocable Trust appeal. We're waiting for 2 others.
Was that in the right time frame?
Evidently,
Well,
as far as I know.
seems awful late.
As far as I know.
Well, I don't know.
And everything else I have for you is for executive session.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna have to clear the room. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for inviting me. Ask one question relevant to the process that you're discussing in executive session. You were thinking about buying something, you make a decision. Does it then go to the voters? What's the time frame for approval for purchase of, I assume you're talking about property. I read it right.
We're talking about selling.
No, you're talking about possible purchase of a
Oh,
property.
are we?
Um,
We don't buy anything without the town's approval.
That was my assumption. I just thought maybe I'd forgotten the process.
I'm sorry, I did not.
Sorry. Yep, my understanding is that would be correct. Is that it would have to go to the voters. And I haven't worked my way through that entire legal process. Since I have not purchased, we've only sold. And on selling, of course, we have to make a public notification.
Right. Yeah.
My understanding is this, besides the select board, is that even if we legally didn't, it may be that the select board legally does not have to do that. I'm going to step out on a limb and say we would do that regardless.
Right. Okay, thank you.
We're looking for old fire stations to pick up.
Yeah,
Other towns have. We've only got one.
Yeah, I'm just now working my way through that legal process, but
Yeah. Great, thank you.
Okay, folks. I move the premature general public knowledge of real estate law would clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage. We have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, I move to go into executive session under one VSA 313A2 to include the town manager to discuss the possible real estate purchase for the town of Wilmington. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, okay, we're now in executive
Tom?
session.